So what would happen if I applied a torque? What would happen to the angular momentum of a rotating object if I applied torque to the object? So this is like a top spinning, right? Well, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. The sum of, first of all, remember that I'm going to write out all the linear stuff, right? So the sum of all the forces, right? You know that this sigma notation means sum, right? The sum of all the forces is equal to the mass times the acceleration. But in rotational, we would say that the inertia times the angular acceleration would equal the sum of all the torques, right? All right, so this is linear, bless you. And this is rotational kinematics. Well, dynamics, I should say. And then if I do some fancy maneuvering, remember that acceleration is nothing more than the change in velocity over the change in time, right? So remember that this symbol right here that I'm drawing that looks like a weird shaped E, that's sigma notation. That's a capital letter for sigma. And that means the sum of all the forces, right? Again, also remember that angular acceleration is nothing more than the change in angular velocity over angular velocity over the change in time, right? So that would be the sum of all the torques. Then also remember that, I don't know if you remember this or not, but if I take this equation and I multiply both sides by time, right, I end up with, that becomes the sum of all the forces times time, or delta t. And if I do the same thing over here, I'm going to get the rotational inertia times the change in angular velocity equals the sum of all the torques, the net torque is a better way to say it, times delta t. And then so the last linear thing is that our change in momentum is equal to the impulse j, and that's equal to my mass times the change in velocity, which is equal to the sum of all the forces times delta t. And then let me move this over a little bit. Then that would mean that my change, or my change in angular momentum, which is really angular impulse, right? So when I have it, so remember this is a change in momentum. This is impulse. Now we use the letter J for that. For this one, we just still call it impulse. We don't use a separate variable for it, except this is angular impulse. All right, so maybe we'll put ANG in the front. And that's just equal to the rotational inertia times the change in angular velocity, which is also equal to the net torque, the sum of all the torques, times time. So just like something in motion, if there's an airplane in motion and I push the airplane, it goes faster. If there's an airplane in motion and wind pushes against it and it slows down the airplane, that change in momentum, we call that impulse. And what is that equal to? It's equal to that force applied over time. And it's the net force, because sometimes like an airplane getting pushed by the wind or pushed from behind or pushed from the side, that's going to be a force applied over time. If this top is already spinning and it's starting to slow down and I spin it again, I'm changing the angular momentum. And so that's an angular impulse, okay? So this is the last thing that we need to talk about today. But this angular impulse is, so we'll do an example of this, okay? I'll just give you a second to write this down. What's funny is whenever I say we'll do an example of this whole table here, you guys do this.
Maybe you start a whole new page for one example.
That's so real.
I got to edit that out.
Oh my gosh.
And you were warned. Oh my gosh, it's right. I got to do all this work. All right. Usually the microphone doesn't pick up your voice, but I like to go back and make sure.
It's not like I'm doxing you.
Well, I mean, you are kind of loud. So let's keep going.
Don't laugh at me, Nicholas.
Why do you... All right, so real quick, this problem here, we have torque of 5 Newton meters that are applied to this pulley for 3 seconds. What is the angular impulse applied to the pulley? So the formula is just the change in angular momentum is equal to the rotational inertia times the change in angular velocity, or the sum of the net. This is, when I write this way, it's the sum of all the torques, or you could think of this as the net torque. Okay, so what's the net torque? Well, it was 5. What's the time? T. Multiply those two together, I get 15 kilogram meters squared per second. Now I want to look at what this looks like graphically, okay? Remember that we said the impulse, I don't know if you guys remember this or not. If I were to graph this, can I slide up? You guys have all that recorded? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's look at the graph of this. So if I were to graph the torque over time, I would get a graph sort of something like this.
You find the area.
Yeah. So then what I need to do, if I wanted to calculate this, I just need to find the area under the curve. Okay? So now, remember, where I'm going with this is you probably will have a question like this where they give you a graph. So you need to find this area, okay? And you could do it mathematically, but if they give you a graph, you just got to figure out what it is. What is this? This is a rectangle. Remember that this is going to be, whoops, wrong marker. This is going to be 5 units down here. This is going to be 3 units. If you calculate that area, it would be 15. But since it's below, why is it below? Why is it at a negative 5?
Because it's going clockwise.
Yeah, because it's going clockwise. So technically, even though it's 15 kilogram meters squared, you could write negative 15, or you could just be aware that this is clockwise, right? Because mathematically, this is a negative 15, because you have the negative 5 times 3. And those of you that have taken calculus know that the area under the x axis is always negative, and above it is positive, because those are the y values associated with it, okay? Any questions on that so far? So that, yeah, this is just like the same way, mathematically, we're finding this the same way that we found our linear stuff. I'm going to throw one more graph on the screen. Can I... Did you guys get all that stuff written down or no?
Yeah. No. I'm just going to start talking.
All right, students are given the following graph of the torque exerted on a pulley as a function of time. Which statements must be true? All right, so calculus is really a way to, if you learn integral calculus, which is Calc 2 or Calc BC, there's a way that you can mathematically calculate the area under the curve, but your problems are always going to be rigged where you could go, okay, this is a rectangle, I can do the math on this. This is a triangle, I can calculate this area. And then down here, this is a triangle, I can calculate this area. Okay, so it's not that hard to find the area. This area, because it's above the x-axis, would be positive. This area down here would be a negative value. That's supposed to be a negative sign. I don't know what's going on there. So this would be a negative value. And then you would take the plus and then the minus, go from there. Depending on the application, you might just need to know the negative. You might just need to know the positive. It just depends on the application, okay? So I'm going to give you some statements, and you tell me if they're true, okay? Yeah, it's annoying. Stop. All right. At 0 seconds, the pulley is at rest. Do you think that's true?
No. No.
Why do you say that? Because it has a torque. Yeah, the torque isn't starting at 0. But the truth is, the torque that's being applied is a constant, right? Well, let's find out what's true. So you're saying that's not true, right? B, it says at 3 seconds, the pulley is rotating at a constant speed. Well, torque is being applied at 3 seconds consistently. Do you think that would be at the same speed? Well, think about that. Remember, the y-axis is just the torque. So you got to think about that. This is no indicator of speed or velocity or angular speed. At 5 seconds, the pulley is at rest. Think of force. Torque is a force. Can I be going forward in a car and apply the brakes? Am I applying a force that's going in the opposite direction of the car? Yeah. But the real question, it says a torque is exerted on a pulley. So does that mean the pulley's in motion? Are they related? Let's skip to D. It says that at 6 seconds, the pulley has experienced net positive angular impulse. Well, let's break this up into different sections, okay? So we're going to 6 seconds. So the first question is pertaining to let's think about this in terms of angular impulse, okay? And remember that the angular impulse has something to do with the velocity. So the angular impulse here would be positive, and in fact we could do the math on that, right? If this is 3, this would be like 9, right? And actually, we could go beyond that because it says 3 seconds, but the angular impulse is positive up to 4 seconds, right? Now, we still have a positive impulse here, and then they go to 6 seconds. Well, here we have a negative angular impulse, right? But if you were to net that, so we got to do the math on this. So the question is, what is the math from here to here? 12, right? Because if this is 3 and this goes for 4 seconds, that's 12. Now this is just for 1 times 3 divided by 2. So this is actually plus 3/2, right? And then this right here is negative 3/2, right? So this right here is a positive 12 angular impulse. This color right here is just your positive 3/2. And then this one right here is your negative 3/2. If you were to sum all those up and end at 10 seconds, you would still have a net positive angular impulse. So think of that. I remember that problem we had on our homework where there was a satellite in space that was going in motion, then it sped up, and then it slowed down. You're trying to figure out what the overall behavior of that satellite is after those impulses. This one was sped up more than it was slowed down. Okay? That's it for the notes.